All right. Miss Haynes, we are live. Are you ready to kick this thing off?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
KTTV, giving you what you need. Motivation, education unleashed. H-Town representing, we forever keep it rolling. Join the conversation with inspirational stories. Thought-provoking, feel that energy. Kendrick Thomas aiming to lift the community. True indeed, tune in, come and see. Giving you what you need. KTTV, let's go. Hey, KTTV.
I'm KTTV. This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of Education Unleashed. And on tonight's episode, I have, look, now, long ago, you used to have them old ladies in your library and your librarian thing. Not tonight, y'all. We got Miss Tanya Haynes, librarian consultant. Look, former educator, former everything. Early retirement is in the building. How you doing tonight, Miss Haynes?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Look, I won't complain. We was talking a little bit pre-show of how busy it is, just coming off Tapsy. Look, when I tell you the last 7 days have been go, 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 spring break is very much needed. And so I'm ready to take a little rest myself. But I won't complain because we are here tonight. Let's make it happen.
That's right.
So,
let's do it.
Before I jump into anything, I always like to do a wellness check because we know that it's been crazy out here. We just talked about the struggle, everything that we got coming up. So how have you been and how are you staying sane as you grow and build your business and your brand?
That's an excellent question. I think for me, I take time for myself when I do need it because the grind is real. You're trying to make it happen. And I'm really passionate about helping educators, So when I need my break, I take my break and then I get back on the grind. And I'm a person of faith, so that helps me a whole lot. I do my meditation and my prayers every day. So that's how I get going. I get strength from above.
Yeah, I remember I talked to Dr. Darwin, Dr. Spiller, President-elect of Tapsy. And when I asked him that, he said, look, man, I have a self-care budget. And so he say, I make sure to add to that. So whether that's going to get a massage, whether that's going to shows, whatever it's going to be, that money is going to come out first. He says, it's almost like I make sure that's where I pay myself to take it up. So, look, I've been thinking all week, what am I going to do for spring break? Something extreme that really just gets me off the edge. My therapist say, every time I take a trip and I come back, I'm refreshed. So I might have to listen to it and do what I got to do, honestly.
Yeah.
Hey.
I saw you on top of a mountain one time. I said, look at you with all that courage. I don't remember where you were, but that was awesome. Are you going to do something like that?
I was in Colorado. And so each year I go to Denver. It just, I think that year, so I have been trying to get to the top of the mountain for like 3 years, right? And so when you get to a certain point, you get out the car and you got to walk up. And so I will always get a little further, but I was determined not to use oxygen because I'm asthmatic. And so I said, I will not. And so the first year I got a little bit further, second year a little bit further, and by the third year, when I tell you I couldn't breathe, I could breathe about that much, but I made it, right? And so I think it was 13, maybe 13,000 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment. Yes.
Oh, I promise you it is. So, but after that, I haven't been back. I've been back up there. I just go now to the part where you drive. I was like, yeah, we did that. Now I can just chill. But
check it off.
Yeah, scratch. Yeah. So, I'm so excited to talk about tonight. When you think about libraries, you think about the librarians, how things have changed. It used to be that old lady sitting back in the rocking chair. Now they doing signs, they pulling out the maker space. It's going down in this thing.
Yes,
so
yes.
I wanted to talk to you first, though, but give us a little bit of background on you and some of the work that you're doing to support educators.
Well, I've been in education for about 25 or so years. So I started as a classroom teacher. I've taught everything from elementary school with special education students all the way up to high school, 11th grade, English language arts. So I'm certified in Louisiana, I'm certified in Texas. And so that's where it all began. And one day I said, you know what? I need to do something different. So I decided to go back to school, got my master's in library science and from University of Houston Clear Lake. And that's where it ignited once again. I'm always said I'm a teacher. That's my calling. You have to be
Yes.
a called person to teach. So I enjoy that. But the library has been my world for the last 12 to 14 years. And I
Mhm.
just enjoy it. So now I'm on a path to help librarians because a lot of people think it's shh, quiet in the library, don't
Yeah.
talk. They think, oh, you have the best job ever. Well, we do have the best job ever, but it's not because we don't have stress. All educators, if you're in a school building,
Mhm.
hello, you're going to have some stress, but it might be a different type of stress. So my job now is to help librarians relieve that stress and to build literacy in their learning communities.
Look, now when you say Louisiana, what part of Louisiana?
I'm from the NO.
N-O, baby.
Ah, yes,
Hey, look.
sir.
Well, being a Shreveport, Louisiana native myself, I'm gonna say little shout out to you
All
for really
right.
showing up. Let's go, Louisiana. I love it, man. Woo. So now when you think about that transition from Louisiana and what was happening with the teaching to Texas, how did you kind of make that move? And like, man, how did you have to adjust, or was it a lot different? I asked that because when I was at the RT Garcia conference, I was able to talk to a friend of mine. She was from New Orleans, and so she talked about the transition from teaching there to teaching here, and some of the programs that she wished she could take back home because they need it. And so, how was that transition for you?
Well, I think well, this was years ago. So, like I said, it's
Most
been 12,
definitely.
14 years ago. But I really like, and I don't know how Louisiana has changed. So I can't speak to that. But I have a friend still in education. And I think, and they're stressed too. I think here in Texas, it's a lot of structure. And that's what I really appreciate about Texas. There's a lot of
Mhm.
structure and support. You have your TEKs, you have specialized positions on the campus to help teachers. I love that about Texas. And it's a higher standard from what, from back then. To me, it's
Yeah.
a higher standard of educating. And they really focus on training the teachers. I love the piece where the professional development is a really, really big push here in Texas. And I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Look. And when you think about going through education and going through school and taking that leap test, like that was. Hey, look.
Woo!
Look. I had to go and pull it out real quick. So
That's
you
back
think
in the
about that.
day.
But
Yes,
like,
sir.
man, I really don't know. Man, was the leap rigorous? I really don't even. I really can't even say like because people weren't teaching to the leap back then. It was none of that.
Right. None of that.
Yeah.
I think back then, so like I said, I don't know about now, but back then it was more of a basic knowledge you read and comprehend. But now with the Texas test and the STAR, it's really about application and higher level thinking. So to me, our students now get more of a quality education and it's a
Mhm.
lot more rigorous to me than it
Yeah.
was back then.
Yeah. So now jumping into tonight, you think about the libraries, right, and how they've evolved. So, in your experience, as someone that's been in the game with the library of science and kind of seen that pattern over the years, how do you feel that libraries have evolved to the digital age?
Well, I don't know if anybody remembers this, and I might be dating myself, but a lot of time we think of libraries or used to think of them as a place where we store books. So it's not about just storing books anymore. It's a community of learners. If you remember back in the day when you were assigned a research project, right, you would go
Yeah.
in and you would look for the card catalog. It was a wooden little box and
Ooh,
it had those drawers, and you pull it out and you flip on through. And you're
I
looking
do
for
it
the
decimal.
books. There you
Yeah.
go, right there.
Yeah.
But it's no longer that. We now have databases. Like technology has made everything better, right? So now we have we have those databases, so you can go online and do everything with a click here and there, and just click, click, and you have what you need. So yeah, digital
Yeah,
age, we love it.
man, I'm telling you. Yeah, yeah. And so I think about my library now, what they're doing for LLC. And so they're turning it into a media center, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so they pulled all the books, they redoing everything on the walls, they adding all this new stuff in. And so I'm just like, is this what we're going to? Whereas it's like you say, no longer is it yeah, just that be quiet place. Right now, we got, like I said,
Right.
we got a lot of things going. We got areas set up. Now, when you think about that, though, at the end of the day, we still talking about this literacy, still talking about promoting. So when you're working and you're doing the consulting, what are some strategies that you may use for like new librarians or people who want to get better in that role to help them promote literacy in those libraries?
Well, to me, we still need traditional and we need the new stuff. So we do need media centers. We need students learning about technology. One of the things that I did was I was in charge of the media team at my school. So our students
Mhm.
had mics like this. They were in charge of the broadcast. We do all of that. So they learn how to produce a production, right? But as far as literacy, that's just a different type of literacy to me. So that's something they do need to know. But they do need to know about traditional literacy as well. So we have traditional book fairs or book sales. We also have author visits. We have book clubs. So all of those things are still applicable. We want students, teachers, everybody to be excited about literacy. And it just looks a little bit different now.
Yeah, yeah. I did an event in the district yesterday, and I went over to, I've been in high school last 2 years, and so you don't really much see this, but I seen yesterday it was a lady dressed up. They had the character day, right? And so then you see
Yes.
all these people just dressed up as deer. I remember when I was in
Yeah.
elementary, I was the fly guy. With with the
Yeah.
yellow shirt, yeah, like, I was the
Yeah.
fly guy. I said, "This is me, man. Come on, man." Yeah, so most definitely you got to have those, especially those author visits. Coming in and having the children be able to kind of go through the book, even if they're reading it on the screen or on the old school projector, and they're talking. I once again at the RT Garcia because it was all about literacy
Mhm.
at this conference, and so I was able to get in touch with a lady who wrote these books, and she was going around the schools and she would act them out. Friend
Exactly.
back home, she had stories from her grandmother, and so she would actually go to the schools in the grandmother's clothing and sit there and do the book. So all of that is so important. Can you think of one like before you got out the game? Can you think of one good author visit that you remember that was impactful?
Well, you know what? One of the ones that I had was Kwame Alexander at one of my intermediate schools. That's when I was in the elite. That was a school-wide thing. Kwame Alexander is such a dynamic author. We really enjoyed him. So I work with the reading specialist and we got him there and he read some of the books. He's a really poetry. He does nonfiction as well, but he does poetry and it was fantastic. The whole school was there and it was very enjoyable. And everybody remembers that. Kids never forget that. And he was also able to sign a few books for us and it was just fantastic.
Yeah. Man, so coming up to I guess some of the things that are going on with the libraries. I remember having all of the controversy with HISD at one point, and they were
Mhm.
closing the libraries, and
Mhm.
yeah, it was just so much going on with that. So, what were your thoughts during some of that time? How did you feel?
A very sad time, and from what
Yeah.
when I keep reading articles, I see more. I'm part of groups and they're talking about it. Even another district is slated to lose their librarians, and it just saddens me. I mean, I just don't understand how we can educate students without
Mhm.
libraries, without librarians. That is providing access. Curriculum is wonderful. We need to know what students already know, right? But curriculum says, look here, read this, do this way. The library is a place where students have freedom of thought, freedom of expression. So if you want to fully educate students, you have to have libraries. Bottom
Yeah.
line. Another concern of mine is where are these libraries being closed at? what type of schools predominantly, right?
Mm,
Minority
mm,
schools, Black and
yeah,
brown children,
mhm,
Hispanic children don't have access. Those are the children who need that access.
yeah,
It
yeah,
saddens me. It's really sad.
yeah. And now, also one thing that I thought about was like book bans. Right.
Hmm.
And so I guess I really can't think of any offhand besides the controversial ones, which was kind of talked about alternate lifestyles. And so all of those pieces. So did you have to go through that during your time where you kind of had to take things off and explain to kids who maybe were looking for those type of books?
I did not. I've never had a book challenge. I've never been involved in a book ban per se, but our
Yeah.
district, all the districts I've been a part of, had procedures and policies. We were taught and trained on what to do if this happens. We were the leader as a campus librarian. I was the leader on my campus should that happen. So I would work
Yeah.
with my administrators and we would follow those procedures. The first
Mhm.
thing, if that were to happen, is read the book. A lot of
Mm,
times, the books aren't being read. People take one part, a paragraph, a sentence out of a book, and they want to say, this is not good. This is not right. And it may not be right for your child. And
yeah.
I, wholeheartedly support you. But you can't say we need to take this book out of the library for all these other 1,400 children. If
Yeah.
you and your family have standards and you don't want them to read that, we can honor that. But these children are different and they need to have that freedom of expression, that opportunity, and that access.
Most definitely. Most definitely. What we'll do, let's take a quick break. And then when we get back, I want to kind of talk about some of the trends that you're seeing as you're out and doing some consulting. So quick break and we're gonna jump back into this.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the
All right, y'all. KTTV.com. Make sure the male educator. So at the TAPSY conference, we did the male educator shirts. A hit. People were buying so many for their husbands. I ran out of sizes that they would need. I was like,
That's
okay,
good.
we're in Texas. Let me go give them. Now I know that we're in Texas. People don't be up in these smalls and mediums. Like, man, get you some larges and on up here. Double up, man. So yeah. All right. So welcome back. We are here, librarian consultant, Miss Tanya Haynes. Look, when you're out, because education, I want to say in some sense it's changing, in some sense it's not changing, right?
Hmm.
And it's still the same over these years. But when you think about trends, you think about libraries closing, you think about what's going on, what are you seeing? Because I always like to give information to maybe people who want to be librarians or new librarians who need to be abreast of things. So as you do your research, as you prepare to support schools and educators, what are some of the things you're seeing out that's trending in that area?
Well, one of the biggest things that I'm seeing is not a good trend. We're seeing a lot of budget cuts. That's why we're having the problems with other districts deciding, hey, we don't need libraries. Let's shut them down. Let's turn them into a different area of the school and use them some other type of way. Another trend that is unfortunate is instead of hiring a fully certified librarian, they want to cut back on salaries and put in a paraprofessional, which saves the district a lot of money, but kids
Yeah.
aren't getting the quality access to another teacher that they could with
Mm,
a certified librarian. So that's an unfortunate trend. We're not, I think one of the false assumptions is that we just check out books. We're a
yeah.
glorified book checker outer, like I'm making up my own words, but that's all right. But we are not that. We are teachers. You have to be a
Mm,
teacher before you go back to school. You have to pass a test. So we use all of those teaching skills in order to make the library better. We analyze data. We see what is needed. Based on the data
mm,
we receive from our circulation reports, we are able to support the school's vision, the school's mission, and create other programs that are needed for our specific learning needs at our
yeah.
campus.
And do you see what opportunities? So, like, let's say for instance, we out at the school, and you're saying, okay, y'all can improve in this area. y'all can improve in this area. For people who looking to make that improvement, what are some of the opportunities where you can see we could type besides the money? Because the money can always get better. But other than that, once you do have those certified teachers, what areas could they kind of get better?
I think that the opportunity is for everyone to know that the library is still needed and that is not a quiet, dormant place. It is very lively. You mentioned before makerspace. That's very trendy right now. There are all types of maker spaces. I've had maker spaces where kids come in the morning, they play board games, or it was a building maker space. They would use Legos and robotics, and they would use technology to build things. All of that makes the library more interesting, more fun, and it educates our students in a different manner. And they have that freedom of thought and expression that they so greatly need.
Yeah, I think about the science tech specialists. I know in A-Leaf, the science tech specialists kind of partners with the
Mm.
librarian, and that's how we really get things going. As you get out and you see more districts, are they having that kind of combination too?
Well, you know what? I remember that. And here's a combo for you. I work very closely with, at that time, it was the technology specialist. So, from my
Mhm.
understanding now, they've combined even that because it used to be
Yeah,
science specialists and technology specialists, and now they're
yeah,
combined. But that relationship is crucial because we did a lot of training teachers how to use instructional technology that would
yeah.
also benefit the students in the classroom. But not every district has that, unfortunately, and some of them don't have that. They might have one specialist, and that specialist might be in charge of everything, or they might have a
Mhm.
reading specialist or a math specialist or a science, So
Mm.
it's incumbent to me upon the librarian who services the entire school to whatever you have, you need to use that. That is an opportunity for you and your campus to grow those kids right where they are. You start with what you have. If you don't have the budget, work with what budget you have. If you don't have other people you can collaborate with your teachers. The teachers need help. And whatever you can do for the teachers is going to help our students as well.
Yeah, and when you do your services, so let's say, for instance, I'm inside of the district. Do I call you or do you go through the district? Kind of walk me through that process of what it looks like.
Well, it really depends on the district again, because every district has their own rules. Like for me,
Yeah,
I start with the actual district because you're not supposed to really contact each individual schools because all of those schools fall under a certain, the guidelines of the district. So I'm an
mhm,
approved vendor with several of the districts in our area. So I would say
yeah,
start there. I mean, you can contact me to see if you like, some people have library coordinators. So you can
mhm,
start there, talk to your like, say, hey, I saw Fire Librarian Haynes. Have you seen her? We, would like to do some professional development training. Check out my blog. I do a blog twice a month. Start there. You're welcome to contact me if you're interested, and let your library coordinator, if you have one, know. But if not, talk to me. We
yeah.
set up a meeting. Let's do it.
And then once you get the meeting, let's say, for instance, is there an analysis that you do, or how does the whole process start? Like, how do you? Yeah, that's what I mean. Walk me through like what the give me one test or one of the scenarios of what happened because I want to kind of help people understand of what that looks like as far as when they get those services and like how you can help them.
Well, it definitely starts with me talking to you, sitting down. What are your needs, right? What would
Mm,
you like based on everything that's going on in your specific community? What are the needs? What have you done in the past? What are you looking? What are your goals? What's your vision? Is that aligned with the school and the campus vision? If not, we need to get it aligned together. So there's definitely a lot of assessment going on. And based on that
mm.
assessment, then we can look at which type of packages that, I offer a Spark, I offer Ignite, I offer different packages. It just really depends on what we find in the assessment and what you think you need.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Aha. I heard it. Fire,
Yeah.
spark, Ignite.
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
I had to give it up. So first off, now I know New Orleans and things. You know the fire. That's the word. So how did you come up with that name? And how did you come? Okay, so then what made you say I'm gonna integrate the packages in with the name to make it all cohesive?
You know what? I don't know if I came up with the name or if the name came to me. I don't really know, but I guess I have a passion for it. And it
Yeah,
started with my social media handle, right? So I said, I had been a few years posting things I was doing in my library under my name, Tanya Haynes. Well, nobody knows or cares about Tanya Haynes, right? So I said, I need something catchy, something, with
yeah,
some pizzazz to get people's attention. And then I guess it was the Lord, I don't know, but I just came up with Fire Librarian, right? It's
yeah,
like, I like that. And so I just built on that, built on that, built on that. My administrator said,
yeah,
I like that. Because I would, I had my email, Fire Librarian,
yeah,
all of that kind of stuff. And it grew into my company. So yeah.
yeah. Man, come on, man. I like I say, I remember coming up, man. You had that old lady who used to wear the glasses with the chain that would go down, and her
Yeah.
stuff.
And they look good.
Yeah, right there. We be like, man, y'all can't talk, man. She make it go. Cause me, I ain't gonna lie to you. In middle school, man, I had to work in the library, so it was terrible, man. Like, but now you think about the fire library, and you think about making that place an inviting place that kids want to go, right? And so you can come in here,
Yeah.
you can build stuff, and it fall over. It's okay, you know.
It's
And
okay.
so when you doing that, I think all of that me contributes to a student lifelong learning, right? You get excited about that
Mhm.
and you say, okay, it's okay to go in this place. When you were in the game, how do you feel like some of your work contributed to building that lifelong learning in students?
I remember students to this day, and I remember the pandemic, which was hard for everybody, right? That was a very challenging time, but I still have students, one student in particular. I really never met her physically in person because during the
Mhm.
pandemic time, everything was shut down, school was closed. So how do you make an inviting space when you're online? Everything is online, right? So I had online library, right? And it was
Okay.
awesome. It was awesome. So it's similar to this. I had it open. Students knew what time. It was normally during their lunchtime. And they would come in, I would read stories, I would show videos, I would share, we would laugh, we would cry. They would share stuff with me. And one student in particular, I never forget her, Erica, came every single day. And we
Mm,
still communicate via email. And I asked her, I think she's in 8th grade now. I said, do you still go to the library?
yeah.
She's like, every day, Miss Haynes, every day I'm in the library. And she's an A student. She's doing well. But I believe her and among many other I planted seeds, right? We all plant seeds as educators, but the librarian plants seeds as well. My
Yeah.
thing is students have to read, right? You need reading. It's part of life, right? That's how you survive. And teachers teach the curriculum. They learn how to read with teachers,
Yeah.
right? In the library, they learn to love to read, right?
Mm,
So that's a little distinction I think it's very imperative. And there's
yeah.
another student, because even with my another seed that I planted at another campus, I've had helpers, right? And Avery, I never forget, Avery would see me reading stories, read alouds to children, like in kindergarten, first grade, and she was in 3rd grade. So she would be shelving books on the library. And she said,
Yeah.
Miss Haynes, I want to read stories. I was like,
Mhm.
I never thought of that. These kids can come up with
Okay.
some stuff themselves. I'm like, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
So I said, okay, you want to read to the kids? Fine. So I let her, then I had to train them. Okay, y'all want to read stories. Y'all have to watch me a few times. We had to
Mhm.
practice questions. So that helps them with their critical thinking. They had to develop their own questions. I had to show them in the book where you're going to pause and ask questions. Make sure you're looking. Don't just look at the book. Look at the students as well. well. So Avery enjoyed that. And the teacher, I think it was a kindergarten teacher's like, wow, she did a good job. I was like, I know, I'm so proud of her. So
Yeah,
I'm sure Avery doesn't forget the library either.
yeah, most definitely. I was thinking about when you said that on the news, I read a few podcasts ago when we were talking about just education news, and it was a lady who brought in students, and they were helping them build the curriculum. Right? They would try things out with them. They would help over during the summertime, give their feedback on the curriculum, work with kids. And so that would make me think about those students that you had to help us with. They was like, well, I want to do this, right? And so
Hmm.
that passion, but then being able to have those students read to other students,
Hmm.
how different was that connection, right? Just being on that same playing field. So awesome, awesome work. All right, what we'll do, we'll take a quick break. And when we get back, I want to talk more about because a lot of their times we got the young librarians who and sometimes work in isolation. So let's talk about more of how they can be more collaborative to each other. So we will be right back. All right, y'all. Look, we are back. Welcome back to Education Unleashed. I'm here with the fire librarian, Miss Tanya Haynes. Thank you again, Miss Haynes. You have dropped it on us tonight. So now, but I want to talk again, like I said, about collaboration. So I know you talked about having those teachers kind of coming in, working with the kids, just making that space fun. But when you think about your collaboration, what did that look like on your campus as you worked with teachers? Because you want what you have in going in that library to transfer and vice versa. So how are you intentional about making those things cross politic?
Well, it depends on the campus. So I've done it several ways, but I also like the teachers would come in, but I would also go out to their classrooms, right? So I would follow the curriculum as best I could. It didn't depend. It doesn't matter if it's math or science or whatever, but I normally work with the English language arts teachers. So I would say to the new librarians, or if you don't have support for librarian leadership in your district, you might want to, make sure that you're going out to the teachers so you can support them. Don't always expect that they're going to come in the library, because teachers, you need to think back. When you in the classroom, you don't have time. So they might not have time. It's not that they don't like you. It's not that they don't care about the library. They literally don't have time. They're analyzing data. They're in these meetings that they're always in, so they don't have time. So one of my things was to go into their collaborations among their grade levels. I would sit in their professional learning community, their
Yeah.
PLCs, and I would do that as often as I could. If I didn't have any classes coming in, I would go to them, and they would ask me about books. Miss Haynes, what about this? I'm like, that's a good idea. Let me
Yeah.
find out for you. Or if I knew I had just recently purchased books, have you tried this? Or if there was a new database that they haven't tried yet, you know what? Listening to what they were working on for that next unit, hey, I'm going to suggest this. Will this work for what you guys need? And that was a really, really good building that rapport and that relationship with the teachers, sitting in on their PLCs, sitting in on their meetings. And I also went into their classrooms and did mini lessons. So they might not have time, to do a whole lesson. You can't do the whole lesson. That's okay, because they got to meet their standards, and
Mhm.
that's okay. But wherever you can get your foot in the door, you need to get your foot in the door. So I got my foot in the door, going into classrooms, teaching mini lessons, and that just enhances student academic needs. And our kiddos need a lot of help, and they need a lot of support. The more repetition they get, and it might be in a different way, but it's the same skill, it's going to help them remember. And not only to pass the test, we want them to pass the test, but the focus should be on lifelong learning. And that's what we're here to help them.
Yeah, I remember back in the day. Oh, them teachers used to see that library as a break. and come in, drop the kids out. They wouldn't even bring the kids in the library. They'll stand at the door. As
Sure.
soon as that gone, but now teachers they stick around as part of the block, or in some cases, or just being in there. And so I know, like you said, going out, but how does that librarian utilize that teacher being right there in the room with them as the kids kind of maneuver through the library?
Well, when I have the teachers right there, they would help me with the students. Sometimes you have your, Johnny was the one.
Yeah, yeah,
Hello, Johnny. Come on, Johnny.
yeah,
So the teacher might focus on Johnny and make sure he doesn't run off, like
yeah,
literally run out. And I would, help with the other one. So the teacher would find, because she knows her students better than you, especially if I only see the students once a week or once every,
mhm,
she knows them better than you. So,
yeah,
we work together, a lot of eye contact. You got that? Okay, I
yeah,
got that. We got
yeah.
it.
Most definitely, man. I think about my former elementary school, and so you would have the librarian aide, and the teacher all in there. I say, look, we shouldn't have any issues coming from the library because we got a full team in there. But kids will be
Yes.
so engaged. Kids will be getting those books. Some kids, I remember having kindergartners who the first thing they come in the library for, well, I'm going to the chapter books. Man, if you don't get back to the other side over there,
You
but
better get over to them picture books.
you get yourself together, man. You don't even know what you read at this point, man. But they see the big kids. My
Yeah.
big brother got these chapter books, so that's what I want to get. But most definitely, man, this is so important just to be able to talk about this tonight. So now, when you think about educators and librarians looking to enhance themselves or their programs, what is one piece of advice as we close this thing out that you would say?
Make sure you do not take your library for granted or your librarian, because in this day and
Mm,
age, it is not promised. As we, talked about and mentioned earlier with other districts, do not take them for granted. There are people that are losing their jobs and their livelihood because people think, oh, we don't need that. We don't have money for that. We'll
yeah,
do something else with that. So don't take that for granted. Work
mhm,
collaboratively, work together. You're not only saving that person's job and livelihood, you're helping your students, you're helping yourself. The librarian is a good teacher. The librarian is a master teacher. As I wrote in one of the blogs, they can do a lot of things. Talk to your librarian. See
yeah,
how they can help you. They are there and they are willing. So work together. Just don't pass, and it doesn't have to be you have to go in, because I know you're busy, right? Educators, but you might want to just send them an email. When I got emails, you better believe I was on top of it. If I was at a
yeah,
lunch duty and a teacher passed, I say, hey, Miss Haynes, can you do this? I'm on it. I might have to
yeah,
say, oh, do me a favor, send me an email. Some of them have my phone number too, but
yeah,
send me a text, remind me, and I'll be happy to do that, because
yeah,
we're all in this together. And it's all about the students. We have to remember it's about the students, and they need us. One of my
yeah,
former mentors, I love my principal. She was awesome, Dr. Burrows. She is
mhm,
awesome. But she would
yeah,
often say, all hands on deck, right? And we all knew what
okay,
that means. We need everybody.
mhm,
Okay. And that's the same thing in education now. We need librarians. If you
yeah,
have a library aide, that is fantastic. We need that too. Some districts don't have that, but we need everybody to make this thing
mhm,
happen for our children. We really do.
yeah. Yeah. And so my thing is, when you take those libraries, then what happens? Like, where are they supposed to get that spark from? I mean, is it the teacher? And don't get me wrong, school classroom libraries are important, but
You're right.
this teacher only got so much room for so many books. Like, in your experience, since you kind of been able to kind of move around, see different places, have you been inside any places where they did remove the library, and what did they put in place?
I have not been any because my business, if you don't
Yeah.
have a library, I'm not going to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
But research shows, I follow a lot of research through the American
Yeah.
Library Association, and they have like over 20 years of research showing where there is libraries, and not just a book, not just a area of the school holding dusty books,
Mhm.
right? When you have a vibrant library program with a certified librarian, student achievement goes up.
Yeah.
So, what does that tell you? If you don't
Man, you
have
better get
that,
the
what's
quick
going
in
to
here.
eventually happen?
Student achievement
Come
gonna go
on,
down. Hey.
down.
All right.
Mhm.
So now, how can we find you? How can we get more? Let's say, for instance, I want to reach out to you to better my skills, even whether it's through the school, whether it's independently. How can we find you? And then, what are some of the topics again that teachers can get that support on?
Well, you can find me. I'm on most social media, Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Fire Librarian or Fire Librarian Haynes. I do offer some free workshops. I got a text from one of my former colleagues. She's like, "You were in our meeting." Look, and she showed a picture. But I have free workshops coming up soon. I have the next one April 20th. So that's going to be talking about libraries and scheduling. Some principals think, hey,
Mm.
put you on the block so you see your students every day, or you can have a flexible schedule. I've done both. They both can work. It really depends on how you see your program and how you run your program. So anything's possible. The job of the librarian is to work with everyone collaboratively and build that program, and it can be done. So that's one of the places you can find me.
Mm, most definitely. What we'll do, we're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, I know I'll try to send the interview questions, but these fire questions, fire,
Oh
fire,
goodness.
like fire, rapid fire. These questions you
Rapid
don't
fire.
have. So we're about to get ready to get into that. So we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and get into some rapid fire.
You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the
Bam! Look right here. Look, we were out at Tapsy. When I tell you these things was selling
Mm.
like hotcakes. Like I had to go back in the bag, bust open a new pack. I think this might be in so many cities around Texas. A pencil is the least of my words. If you have not been to the website, look, man. I wanted to make sure that I came through with something. So I went and got the book, but then also I went and made the workbook to go with. Look, look. I really wanted to do something where teachers could reflect on some of the challenges that they do. Because, like you say, where are we losing? Where's the student achievement dropping in our minority schools? And so this is something that I just use for teachers to reflect on their practices and everything that they got going. So if you have not been to ktv.com, make sure you go get the book, man, and share it with your people and your people. Hey,
Mhm.
we're gonna talk about that.
Yes.
Now, are you ready for this rapid fire?
I don't know. Let's do it.
Hey, ooh,
go hard, or go home, go hard, or go home.
okay, look, educator rapid fire. The biggest reason I did this is because long ago I was in Walmart and the kid said, "You shop at Walmart?" Or when you go to the grocery store, like, "What are you doing here?" "Hey, I'm trying to eat just like you." And so they see us as machines. And so I really like to do this part
Mhm.
because we talk so much about the education. And like you said, we just went through the full thing. And so I also want people to see the other side of, yeah, we like normal stuff too. And so for
Mhm.
you, I wanted to keep it all related. So don't think about these questions. Just just react to them. All right,
Oh
you ready?
goodness.
Favorite book genre?
Favorite book genre? I would say
Mm-hmm.
it would be biographies. I love
Ooh, that's
biographies.
deep.
I love to
Mm,
read about other people's lives. It helps
yeah,
me, it
yeah,
inspires me. So I like
yeah. But
biography.
there. And see, I'll be binging on 2020, so I'm with you. I like documentaries. Hey, look,
Yeah, yeah,
last
yeah,
book you
yeah.
read.
It's good. The last book I read, I would say The Big Leap. I'm reading
Ooh,
a lot more now about inspirational books, business
yeah,
books, so to
yeah.
help my
The big
business. But
leap. Man, what's the big leap? You
the
got to
big
share a
leap,
little bit of that. What's
the big leap, it just talked about knowing who you are, not depending on other
mm,
people, and
yeah,
looking inside of yourself for where you want to go. It's like your mindset.
yeah.
It changes the game for where you want to go. If you are not where you are in life, it's because of those thoughts in your mind. So change your thoughts and you're
Fiction or
changing life.
nonfiction? Well, most definitely. I agree
Nonfiction.
with that. I agree with
Yeah.
that. Man.
Yeah.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
All right.
Nonfiction.
Ebook or
Nonfiction.
physical book?
That's rough. I'm kind of old fashioned in it. I want to turn the pages of a book and then nothing like smelling it.
Yeah.
Brand new book. I like physical books,
Look.
but I
Okay.
have other
Physical.
books. I have Audible, that's what they call it. I listen to books
Yeah.
too, so but my
Yeah.
favorite is turning the
We're
pages.
gonna flip
Nothing
this
like that.
page. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Look.
it's okay to dog ear the page. If it's not a
Yeah.
library book, you can dog ear that page so you know where you stop.
Hey. Yes.
Because every time you
Other
don't
than
have no
that, I'm
bookmark.
gonna be calling. No, you don't have no boo ball. No, but like you said, I'm glad you
Oh,
put that disclaimer in there because I will call your mama and I will hold your report card for you messing up these books up in here. So thank you for
oh
that
Lord.
disclaimer right there. All right, favorite literary character.
My favorite literary character. Oh, that's a hard one.
Mm, mm.
Okay, this is an old time book. Old. This is To Kill a Mockingbird. So
Ooh,
I would say, I can't think of the name. I want to say
okay.
Calpurnia. That's what I want to say, but I don't remember.
Man, it's
Yeah.
deep. I mean, you went in the inside that
That
thing.
was a
My God.
classic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Mhm.
Most memorable, and you may have shared this, but I want to make sure most memorable library experience.
I think my most memorable is Erica because I still
Yeah.
talk to her. I still, communicate with her through emails. But another student, I want to say her name was Victoria. I never forget. It was the beginning of the school year, and I was standing in the rotunda, and I was right in front of the library. At all hands on deck. So we're all greeting parents. I think it was meet the teacher or back to school night. One of those, I forgot. But she came up to me. Now I didn't remember her at first, but
Yeah.
I didn't remember her at first because she was in ninth grade and I had her when she was like fifth and sixth grade. And she's like, she was looking in the library and she just kept gazing. She's like, I had a lot of good memories in that library. And I
Mm,
just was like, oh, that touched my heart.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we talked about that a little bit for a little while, but that's what it's all about. Makers, it's about reading, it's about literacy, it's about makerspace and all of that. But it's about the memories that students have with you and with other students and with their teachers while they're in that library. So for Victoria to say that to me, that just made me feel so good. Like I did my job.
Mm,
I did my job.
yeah. Yeah. Now for me, I'm gonna say the book fair. But I'm gonna ask you, what is your favorite library activity or event?
Oh, that's a hard one. I like the day-to-day library, right? You're reading stories, you're helping students find
Yeah.
books. But the book fair, I think other students would say the book fair was their favorite part
Come on, man.
because I talk
Uh,
to today, they talk about that scholastic book fair. They still remember that. I mean, to this day, I talk to
yes.
grown adults and I'm like, yes, the book fair. We all love the book fair. And
Yeah.
you talked about earlier dressing up in characters. Every book fair, we always had a theme. So I would dress up as
Yeah.
something like, we had a something about reading takes you places or something. something. So I would have suitcases in the library, and I have all the countries and continents and globes and everything. It was just so, kids remember that. That would be their favorite. But I
Hey,
just like the day to day.
hey, yeah.
Day
I
to day.
remember. Ooh, I remember guy buying the wrestling books at the. Oh my god, that's why I thought wrestling was real right there. Man, you get the wrestling
Yeah.
books out the book fair, and you get that little catalog. Be certain. Oh, you ain't got no money, man. But I'm
Yes.
going to get his book. Oh
And
my
look,
god.
this is how I taught them about math in the library. So whenever the book fair was coming up, I had a lesson on taxes. They say I had one kid tell me, I don't want no tax. Well, baby,
Yeah,
we don't want it either, but the
yeah,
government says we have to have it. So I
yeah. You got to
explained to
get it.
them that, about taxes. So bring a little extra money. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What I did, I remember working at the elementary school. For me, it was some old commercial where it was a guy who was talking about retiring or AARP, and he's like, every night I put my change into this bucket, and so every day I would do that, and so every time the book fair would roll around, I would bring that change bucket to school, and that's how a lot of the kids would get their taxes covered because they would just take out my change bucket. And so man, I remember they gave away like gene passes for that. I got like 10 gene passes out there. And they just took all my little money,
Oh.
but that's what it was about though. Being able to help those students. Let's see here. Favorite author.
Oh, good goodness. I would say I have so many favorite authors. That's
Yeah.
hard.
I,
But I like Kwame Alexander. He's very good.
okay.
And you talked
Mhm.
about your book earlier, The Pencil is the Least of My Worries. Kwame
Yeah.
Alexander is an author that connects with boys. And a lot of times boys don't like reading, right? So because
Yeah.
there's so much going on in their homes and in their lives, and like a pencil, please. The same
Yeah.
thing with reading. Who cares about reading? But that author, Kwame Alexander, seems to connect with children. And like he has a series of books, but the one when he came to our school was the crossover. And so he read from the crossover, which is about basketball. And it talked about, twin brothers
Mm.
and how they share their lives and their whole family. So, kids, you talked about wrestling. Kids love sports. So that's a
Yeah.
basketball book. Kwame Alexander also did a soccer book. So, he
Mhm.
has a lot of books that has to do with sports and that boys can really identify with. So he's one of my go-tos in the literary world. He's really good.
Mm. Yeah. Prefer reading spot, indoors or outdoors?
Oh, indoors. I'm not an outdoor person.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
not an
with you. I'm with you on
outdoor.
that.
Too many
Look,
things flying around in Texas, and
that's
like
all
it's
I'm
about to
saying.
be summer and mosquitoes eating you up. No, no, no. Indoors, indoors, and the nice air condition.
Now, look, I saved the best for last. If you could live in any fictional world, where would it be?
Hmm. Oh, goodness. That would be hard. Any
Mm.
fictional world? I'm gonna be honest
Yeah,
with you. I would be in a real world because I'm not a sci-fi person. I'm not a fantasy
yeah.
person. So I'm not
Hmm.
really into that. So I would have to say it has to be a real world situation, like
Okay,
whatever
okay.
whatever real world there is. I need a real
Yeah.
world, preferably something on the beach. Hawaii would be
Hey,
nice. South
hey.
Africa would be nice.
Uh,
Yes, something in the
love it.
real world.
Man, take me to Wakanda. Let's go, baby. All right, look, let's go.
I
All
love Black
right.
Panther. Yeah, Wakanda would be good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. All right, so now that was it for our rapid fire. I really think you did good. That was the most I talked about and explained the answers, but I think it was very good because you put a lot. But this was a different one because usually it's like quick, like black coffee or cream with sugar, like simple question. But this
Yeah.
I wanted to take it a little more and keep it in line with what we was talking about. Because just the power of reading, just the power of books, and you get to play this back and people hear some of those things. So big shouts out to you for that. Now, as we get ready to land this plane, any last words that you have for schools, or why should we call you for our library consultant?
Well, I said this before, but it cannot be overstated. The library is important in education. It should be very valuable to everyone. So please don't forget libraries. It opens the minds of our students to worlds that they have never had. I talked about Hawaii and South Africa and Paris. Some of our kids will never get there, right? But they can get there through a book. So that's why the library is so important. It gives them choice. It gives them independence to learn something and experience something that they may have never known before. And so that's really important to me. And you can also connect. I just finished co-authoring a book. So if you want to check out my website, bialibrarian.com, you can read Wow, Women of Worth anthology. I am featured as one of the co-authors in there. And my story is about my journey as a librarian. So I think that will speak volumes to parents, because parents play a very important role in their students' education. So take them to the public library. The public library is important. Spring break is coming up. Hopefully you can visit the public library and get some new books. Participate in some of the activities and events that the public library has to offer. We don't always have to pay for events. The library is there and it has free things and they want you to come in with your children. So just remember that.
Yeah, man, we think about that. I can't go anywhere. Hold up,
All
man.
right, come on.
Hey, I'm about to probably gonna get kicked off of LinkedIn. Hey. I've been trying to get LeVar Burton. Look, every time I go back, I was like, oh man, let me message him again. I done messaged this guy probably at least about 3-4 times. Look, to get Reading Rainbow on would be the top. I'll probably quit after that.
That would be the top.
Man, I'm telling you. But most definitely, I want to say thank you for taking some time out the schedule to come on, kind of talk about the work that you're doing, give game to new librarians and the importance of simply keeping that library in the building, right? And so that's what I wanted to make sure we kind of focus on. So once again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Give us the website one more time.
It's www.fayalibrarian.com.
Fire!
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Haynes. I appreciate it, and I look forward to sharing this out with our family here.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. This is KT for KTTV. I will not see y'all next Thursday because it is spring break in the city, but we will be back with more awesome guests after that. So make sure y'all keep it locked. This is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
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 KT